go after this stuff, what makes it worth it? It's got to be your passion. You got to love it, ladies and gentlemen. You got to love it. It's got to be what you are supposed to do. You want to sing, and even though they won't invite you to Carnegie Hall, you're going to sing to anybody that listens to you, including singing to yourself. I used to talk to my plants when nobody else would listen to me. You got to write, even if no one published your book, write, because that was given to you to do. You do what it is you're supposed to. You're supposed to build something. You're supposed to create something. I don't know how to do it. Learn. No, it's hard. Yes, it's hard. It's difficult. Yes, right. And it's worth it.
What is going on, everybody? It's Uncle Bret again here by myself. You know, I had grand plans to have a guest this week, and then had to travel for work, and then had to cancel part of my travel for work. And so I'm back sitting by myself in an empty house with no kids running around upstairs, no dogs barking. And so I found it would be a good opportunity to record a little bit of a podcast here. So I wanted to just mention something really quickly. I had an idea to, and you know, this is not some sort of a grand idea that nobody's ever thought of before, but I was listening to the Real AF podcast with Andy Frisella, and he does like different types, or he has like a series of his podcasts that he does every week. He does Q&AF, he does CTI, and he does like Real Talk, which is basically just, you know, him spouting off at the mouth for a few minutes, telling some shit that he feels like the world needs to hear. And I really like that. And I really feel like that translates well to a lot of things in our lives. And I thought I like to talk that way with other people, and not necessarily talking down to people, but talking with other people that way, or to other people that way, because I feel like I have a pretty good method by which I can communicate to people. And I thought about how can I do something similar with a hunting podcast. And so I came up with an idea of doing very similarly another series within the show called Straight Shootin'. And that'll be something that I figure out how I want to do coming soon here, where I do a very brief podcast where I just shoot you straight and tell you how I feel about certain topics or a topic that particular day. But anyway, I just wanted to bounce that off everybody, that I think that's coming soon. A Straight Shootin' series here within Angel Road Outdoors, the podcast itself, the parent company, if you will. But as of today, I think we're just going to do a real brief, like what's going on, what you've been doing, what you've been seeing with Uncle Bret here. And so I figured I would let you know what I've been doing the last week. I had to go to Northwest. So let me back up a little bit even further. Man, I'm having a hard time getting excited about hunting in Michigan. And I think I've said that before. I'm just having a hard time. I'm having a hard time getting pumped up about deer. I didn't do any scouting preseason in any public land. And so I'm apprehensive about traipsing around through some state land right now during hunting season without any snow to kind of quietly track deer in and look for movement. But that's not to say that I won't. I'm just not doing it right now. And work is insane. My Q4 forever is insane. And I just hate it so much that I have a really hard time getting anything done that I personally want to do. And historically, I've been able to sort of manage my job from 30,000 feet, quote unquote, and also then hunt the mornings, and then maybe just have a few emails to get back to throughout the day and some phone calls in the middle of the day. And then usually sometimes, you know, hunt in the afternoons. And that's never really been a problem. There are, however, years like there is this year where I just can't physically do it. It isn't my attention, I have to be more involved than just monitoring emails from 30,000 feet. Let's just put it that way. And so this week I had to go do a punch walkthrough at a project in Northwest Illinois, and it didn't go well. But the plan, and I had covered it with my wife that I was going to do that punch walk on Tuesday, and then I was going to take Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I was going to either drive north an hour and a half into southwest Wisconsin and hunt some public land, or I was going to continue west and then south and drive back to Kansas, which is what I really, truly, in my heart of hearts, wanted to do. There was also a chance that I was going to head back toward home and pick up an Indiana tag and hunt some Indiana public land. That was lower on the list. So it was like, and then there was the final thing that could happen was that I come all the way back to Michigan and hunt in Michigan for 3 days, which was what I really did not want to do. So if I had to prioritize those 4 things, it goes Kansas number 1, Wisconsin number 2, Indiana number 3, public land, and Michigan, my home state, as number 4, bottom of the list. And so I did I got up early Tuesday morning and drove to Northwest Illinois, and I arrived on site, and it did not go well. The contractor was not as far along as they were supposed to be. Things just didn't go well. And so I had to kind of spend at least 2 more hours there than I had anticipated. Plus, I have a new guy that I'm training, and it just didn't go well. And so after it was done, it was the moment of truth. It was time to decide, where are we going? I told my wife, when I'm done with my punch, I'll let you know where I'm going. And she was fine with that. I think secretly she was like, God, I hope that fucker doesn't go back to Kansas. And so I left the parking lot of the job, and I went over to Arby's, and I ordered myself a chicken sandwich, and I sat in my truck and had myself a little fucking pity party in the Walmart parking lot because I wasn't happy that it was now 2:00. And I was hoping to leave by noon, and I just simply could not. And I like to take risks. Believe you me, if you looked at me, you would say this man is a risk taker. This man here is not afraid to take a risk. But I just could not fiscally decide. I could not be fiscally irresponsible enough to drive to Kansas. It was 7 hours. I was like, I had already driven 6.5 hours on Tuesday morning. I was going to have to drive another 7 to hunt in an area that I'd never been to before. The public land, the Weehaw looked great. I was really excited to do it. Like the whole ride over that morning, I was like mentally prepared to go to Kansas, and I was so fucking excited. But I think it's probably good that I had a little buffer of time between when it was time to drive and when my brain had said we're going to Kansas, because I think I made the right decision in not going to Kansas. Ultimately, I did not go to Kansas. I turned the vehicle north and I drove to some public in southwest Wisconsin. But the nice thing about that is I had an hour and a half to sort of, pump myself up, so to speak, because realistically, it was not where I wanted to be. But also, I could talk myself into doing cool shit just about anywhere. And I drove 90 minutes north into southwest Wisconsin, into a little area called Browntown. I think the voluntary public access was in Browntown, and I stayed in Monroe, if that helps anybody figure out where I was at. And I got there. Thankfully, I was able to get there early enough in the day, in the afternoon, that it wasn't dark yet. So I drove by, the first location I wanted to go to. Mind you, I have, in my brain, I have 3 days in Wisconsin that I can hunt. And I'm willing to drive an hour or so in each direction to get to the right place if I feel it's necessary. And so anyway, I go to the first one I want to do. It's the closest one. And I pull up, I look around. It's really pretty. It's very, very hilly. There's probably a more accurate term for this area. I don't know if it's bluffs. It's not cliffs, but it's very, really, really steep. It's big rolling hills, like bluffy. I'm going to call it bluffs. I'm probably wrong, but we're going to call it bluffs. Bluff Daddy. That's what the name of this episode is going to be called. Bluff Daddy. It's probably wrong, but can't nobody hold me down. That's Mace. Never mind. Damn it. Anyway, Bluff Daddy in the house. I hunted in that area. So anyway, I got a hotel room, had everything situated to go hunting on Wednesday morning. And I showed up. And then I thought to myself, man, I don't know how I feel about walking out here and just blowing this place out. Like, it's pitch black. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if there's a trail. I don't know if I'm going to fall down this giant hill and tumble all the way down and break my legs and then have to call for help. So I decided to go in at gray light. So I got dressed at the truck. It's fucking freezing, by the way. Beautiful, but freezing. And I wait till gray light to go in, and it's just not great. Like, leaves everywhere. The ground is rock fucking hard frozen. So I'm crunching, and there's no wind. I'm trying to take like 3 steps, and then I'll stop for like 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes, and just listen. And I'll take another 3 to 5 steps and then just listen. I'm trying to listen for me bumping anything. And I can hear squirrels running, down at the bottom or maybe up the other side. And then I think, well, maybe that was a deer moving. But it takes me like an hour at least to work my way down into this bottom between these 2 bluffs. And, man, there's good sign. Like, I found a nice scrape down there. I found some good rubs. The scrape looked active, like it had been recently ripped open. Big hoof tracks in it, big hoof scrapes in it. And this bottom kind of emptied out into the neighbor's CRP field. And there is a lot of harvested hay fields around. So there's a couple harvested cornfields around too. So there's not a lot of standing corn left up in that area. But anyway, I got sort of food on both sides of me. I've got bedding in front of me. I got bedding in this bluffy area on these bluffs, and there's browse, there's high stem count woody browse, there's the green leafy browse still down in this bottom, and so I found a little area where some trails had converged, and had set up, kind of looking out at this where this bottom kind of empties out into the CRP field, and sat there for several hours and ended up seeing nothing. I do believe I was in a good area. I just needed more time. And the reason I say I needed more time is because while I was sitting there, the sky started to fall, basically, with some of my projects at work. And so I just could not justify staying, out of town for a few days. So, begrudgingly, I worked my way back up out of that bottom and got in the truck and just said, fuck it. Like, there's no way I could have enjoyed myself. Like, I was so burdened by my adult responsibilities at work that I just could not possibly imagine enjoying myself in that area, not seeing any deer, not really knowing where I was going. So I really needed to work at it, and I couldn't work at it because I had to work, like grown-up work. And so, fuck it, man. I just packed my shit up and headed home, and I drove my 6.5 hours home, and had sort of committed to just being here working, yesterday afternoon and today. Tomorrow, Friday the 15th, I actually have a personal time off day. So I am fucking taking the day off, and I'm hunting. Bluff Daddy here was driving home. And so for the first time in a really long time, I found myself in Southwest Michigan during the daylight. Typically when I leave Illinois or Wisconsin, by the time I work my way around the lake and with the traffic, I am in Southwest Michigan, where there's some public areas I wanted to check out after dark. But Bluff Daddy was there yesterday during daylight, and I stopped at one, and apparently these are some pretty small pieces, but the one is apparently no hunting, and I don't know if it's just because it's too close to houses or whatever, but there's no hunting allowed. And I was only 14 minutes from another one, and so that one is a little bit bigger. And so I drove over still during the daylight, and I'm pulled into the parking spot, and could tell just based on the garbage that you pieces of shit, not you're not a piece of shit, but you are. And yes, you, the one listening who is thinking to myself, oh man, I leave garbage behind. You're the piece of shit. If you leave fucking garbage behind after yourself, in a public parking area or in the woods after you've done hunting, you are a tremendous piece of shit. The greatest. You are the greatest piece of shit. There is corn and fucking hair in you. You're the biggest piece of shit. I don't understand. Like, I get out of my vehicle and I hunt in the woods, and if I fucking drop something, I fucking pick it up. God, you people fucking give everybody a bad name. You clowns that leave your fucking garbage in the woods, you're the reason that that is 100% ammunition for these anti-hunters to say, look at these people don't care about the outdoors. They're trashing it. It's because you clowns can't pick up after yourself. So I digress. I find myself here at this particular public state land, and it's probably 4:35, and I get out of the truck, still running. I'm wearing gray sweatpants, tennis shoes, untied, and a black long sleeve t-shirt. And I look across the road behind me, and there's like 20 deer in the cut cornfield. I was like, hold your horses there, Darlene. There's a lot of deer here. What's going on? So I grab the binoculars, and I look across the street, and there's like 15 deer coming out of the woods and grazing in this cut cornfield across the street. I said, hold on a second. That's more deer. I'm here right now. That's more deer than I saw the whole morning in Wisconsin. And I quickly looked at the shooting hours in Michigan and realized, well, damn it, dude, I got 45 minutes. I can put a jacket on and grab my bow and just sit on the ground somewhere. And so I did. I turned the car off. I put my boots on, kept my sweatpants on, put a jacket on, grabbed my backpack and my license, grabbed my bow, and I walked out onto the state land, and I walked way down to where I had a pin dropped. And I was like, man, I gotta find a spot to tuck in here pretty quick, because at this point it's like 4:45. Where this location is in the state, shooting time was 5:42. So running out of daylight, I wanted to get somewhere and quiet down at least 30 minutes before shooting time. And so I walked all the way out there, tucked myself into the corner of the woods, looking at a CRP. The whole thing's not CRP, but there's like a CRP field back in this little area, thinking to myself that they'll run this edge of the woods and the CRP back and forth between the swamp and the agricultural field. And so anyway, I tuck in there, and I didn't see any deer from my vantage point, but I did determine that I like this hunting area, and so I will be hunting there again. It's too far away from the house to for just a hop, skip, and a jump. I need to make a commitment to go hunt it. And so, shooting time comes. It's 5:42. I hop out of the corner of the woods, and I start walking back to the truck, and I can see at the top of the hill there's 2 or 3 deer coming out of the woods. The first one looked pretty good. I didn't see any antlers on it, but it was a pretty big fucking deer. And a couple more deer started piling out of the woods. And so they watched me. I got to about 75, 80 yards before they noticed me, just based on their vantage point and how I was coming up the hill, and they were looking down it. They couldn't really see me that well. Once they saw me, they ended up, bounding, like I always say, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, jumping, flying back into the woods. But I think there was probably 6 to 10 deer that were working their way out of the woods into the clear cut there. And so anyway, long story short, long story long, I saw quite a lot of deer yesterday evening in like a 45-minute span. So there's a lot of deer here yet in Michigan. It's a matter of getting your buns in the woods and figuring out where they're at and how they're moving and what they're going to go do. And it's, based on what everybody's talking about, they are going bed to food. They are moving at last light, within the last hour at least. And so you need to get in the woods, and I need to do the same. So tomorrow, Friday the 15th, I'm going to get my ass in the woods. And that's all we have for today. It's a short what you been up to episode. Keep your eyes peeled for the new straight shooting, or what the fuck did I call it? keep your eyes peeled for the new Straight Shootin' podcast series within this podcast umbrella here coming soon. But anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Love you so much. Talk to you later. Okay, bye-bye.